Right, the secret with cup classique. Remember, in Champagne they're not allowed to call it cup classique. The secret with cup classique is whole bunch harvest and whole bunch press. So next to me here we've got the press, and we can put 1.8 tons in here. We get the little 20 kilogram lug boxes of whole bunches, turn it up, empty the whole bunches into the press, and then very, very gently on a long cycle press the grapes. And you could get from a ton of grapes, you could get 700 liters of juice. From a ton of cup classique grapes, which we press whole bunch, we will only get 530 liters of juice. So we're doing it very gently, and the idea is to get clean juice, no phenols, no bitterness, and that's going to result in a very fine bubble and a very sort of spectacular kind of cup classique. So from the press, very simple process. We press the juice, gets caught into the juice tray underneath the press, and then we're pumping it into the tank, into a stainless steel tank. Keep it nice and cold. We settle that juice overnight. Just a very gentle gravity settle, which takes the sediment to the bottom. The next morning, we actually get a very clean, clear juice, which we then rack from this tank into the next tank, and that's when we'll add yeast and start the fermentation process. So very simple. Making base wine is not rocket science. There are sort of strict criteria, but if you stick to it and do low recovery, gentle pressing, just simple gravity settling, and then addition of yeast, you're going to end up with a beautiful, smooth, light, beautiful base wine. To add complexity to base wine, we also do an element, a little small percentage of barrel fermentation. So when you ferment your base wine in tank, it will be cold fermented, generally be quite fruity and fresh and vibrant, very good acidity. But if you want a sort of a richer component which you'll blend in, so for Jewel Box in particular, our Prestige Cuvée, we'll actually not ferment in a tank, but ferment in a barrel. So we bring that juice in, add it into a barrel, and you're going to end up then with Chardonnay, fermented in barrel, which has richness, complexity, and nuttiness. And that is just, it's a fantastic blending component. So from the whole bunch pressing, tank fermentation, barrel fermentation, this sets the basis of creating a very good base wine, which we will then blend and put into a bottle. And I'm going to tell you about bottle fermentation and show you the crown cap and the riddling rack. Magic about bottle fermentation, which essentially gives you the bubble and results in champagne or cup classique, is all to do about secondary fermentation in the bottle. So what we do, we've made our base wine in tank and barrel, we do our blend, we then take that wine, put it into a bottle, we add sugar and yeast, and we then put on a crown cap or a beer cap. So you can see we've sealed that on, and then what happens is secondary fermentation is very simple. Yeast will take sugar and convert it into two products, alcohol and CO2, and usually in a tank or barrel the CO2 will escape. But because we've got this crown cap on, the CO2 can't get out. And that is the secret to cup classique, is capturing 6 bars of pressure. Remember, your car tire is 2 bars. There's 6 bars of pressure. We've got 49 million bubbles in this bottle, and there we have it. That is the process of secondary fermentation. We then do, however, have a challenge, because we've got the yeast in here, so it's murky and cloudy, and we have to get it out. And that's where we bring in the pupitre or the riddling rack, and we will go through a 21-day process where we do 21 turns little turns, and each time we turn, we bring it up and end it up in a sort of an upright position, and then we'll pull it out, and we keep the bottles upside down, and you have a little sand dune of yeast right at the bottom, or lees. This is then put into a glycol bath, frozen, and then we'll shoot it out by opening the crown cap, and that plug will shoot out, turn it round, put in our dosage, sulfur, cork, and the wire hood. And the wire hood is called a muselet in French, and when you translate muselet into English, it's a muzzle, so you can think of a dog's muzzle. It looks like the wire hood, which just keeps the cork in. If you had the cork in without the muselet, the 6 bars of pressure would just shoot it out. So it sounds like a complex process. It isn't. It's quite simple, but there you have it, the making of cup classique or champagne.